it is Dani'i and welcome to this update video. I apologize for sounding so exhausted. That's because I am. I've been having a pretty tiresome day today, but nonetheless, I'm here with an update on what is happening across the Atlantic, as well as an update as it relates to the earthquakes across the Caribbean. So first, I'm gonna get straight into the latest on the earthquake. So this morning, within the same general area to the north of Puerto Rico, there were 3 earthquakes all weak and below weaker than magnitude 4. So one was a 3.4, 3.5, and a 3.6 this morning. Now, this isn't anything really new. Every day or every other day, there is at least one shaken within the area. But what is important is the fact that these quakes are very minor, so they're not really felt. Maybe some persons may feel a little shaken here or there, but they're not major earthquakes to actually do some damage, which is some good news because we don't want that. So that is the latest on the earthquakes. There hasn't been any major seismic activity elsewhere across the Caribbean, but it is important to note that they can happen at any time, so it is good to always have those tips on what to do in the back of our minds. And speaking of, January is recognized in Jamaica as Earthquake Awareness Month. This is typically when those drills are done in schools across the island and even in the workplaces as well. So it is a pretty good time to refresh our memories on what to do and what not to do. So that is what is going on in the world of seismicity. Let's go ahead and talk about weather conditions. So we're kickstarting things with the U.S. We can see that storm system continuing to make its way through the eastern states, bringing with it a lot of severe weather. Matter of fact, a tornado did quite a bit of damage in portions of the Florida Panhandle. We can see these storms still making their way through, and those white dots indicate lightning strikes. So this thing is moving out, but it is still bringing its impacts. And so if you're being affected, please continue to stay safe there. Going towards the Caribbean, though, we can see that much isn't happening, though some islands, especially the Windward Islands, have been experiencing some showers here and there, some intermittent rainfall activity. But elsewhere across the region, much hasn't been happening as it relates to any significant rainfall. But down into parts of northern South America, going to the Guyanas, we can see some activity developing this evening, and this was actually forecast. So a lot of rainfall across some spots, which may trigger flooding. And hopefully everyone is doing okay, so please be mindful of that. And here we're looking at the Euro forecast through to tomorrow afternoon, and here we can see that across some of these areas it gets quite colorful again for parts of northern South America and portions of the Windward Islands. Again, there's those clouds being carried by the trade, some of which may contain some of that precipitation. So near the ABC Islands for the Windward Islands, and even near Jamaica, there could be an increase in moisture within that area. Models have been showing that. So I will see how that goes for tomorrow. But with that frontal system associated with the storm impact in the U.S., there could be some increased rain across parts of western Cuba as well as the northwestern Bahamas, but significant rainfall amounts are not expected. Finally, we're moving on to the wind forecast. So currently in the Gulf, those winds are quite strong and gusty, up to tropical storm force. And as we're going to be heading into the very early morning hours of tomorrow, tonight into tomorrow, it's going to remain quite windy across portions of the eastern and central Caribbean, the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, parts of Hispaniola, even up into the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos Islands, and across portions of Jamaica, especially southeast parishes and the ABC Islands. So it's quite windy. We're seeing these shades of purples and these blues as well, so winds up to 25-30 knots at the most, but it's a bit calmer in terms of the winds over in portions of Central America. And there's also those rougher seas. Here we're looking at what the GFS is showing in terms of the significant wave height. So seas across the Caribbean anywhere from around 1 going up to 6 or even 7 feet, especially on the Atlantic side of the Lesser Antilles and across much of the eastern and central Caribbean. Also seeing those waves kicking up in the Gulf and off the southeast coast. And so guys, that is pretty much what I wanted to share with you in this update video this evening, and I really hope you found it to be quite informative, and I'll definitely be catching up on some rest very soon, but I'll be seeing you guys in tomorrow's update. So remember to always be weatherwise.